Welcome to What Was That? I'm Gabe Sanchez. Donald Trump has officially been indicted 3 times and Republicans are losing their shit over it.
What a day, huh? What a day to be alive.
It really seems like the courtroom doors just can't get enough of Donald Trump this year. I mean, the guy's collecting indictments like some people collect Pokemon cards. Gotta indict them all. Now, if my math is correct, Donald Trump was charged with 34 felony counts in the falsification of business records case, 40 counts in the mishandling of classified documents case, and now he's been charged with 4 felony counts in the 2020 election interference case. Which means across 3 separate cases in this year alone, Donald Trump has racked up 78 felony counts. That's pretty much 1 count for every year he's been alive. And per usual, the only reason that we knew about the incoming indictment was because Trump ran to Truth Social to whine about it. If anything, he's at least consistent about giving everyone a heads up. The indictment in question came with 4 charges.
With conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail.
And the first 2 sentences in this indictment are a knockout punch. The defendant, Donald J. Trump, was the 45th president of the United States and a candidate for re-election in 2020. The defendant lost the 2020 presidential election. The indictment also lists 6 unnamed co-conspirators in Trump's starting coup lineup.
We are prepared to identify 5 of them at this point based on reporting from our CNN team. I think most notably the first unindicted co-conspirator, who again is unnamed in this indictment, we have identified as Rudy Giuliani. The indictment notes that this is someone who called the Arizona Speaker of the House, that was Rusty Bowers, somebody who made a presentation before Georgia state lawmakers, and the person that Donald Trump tapped to lead his post-election legal efforts. That is all Rudy Giuliani. Number 2 in this indictment is former Trump attorney John Eastman. This is a person who wrote this 2-page memo. This was the plan for Mike Pence to be able to essentially overturn the 2020 presidential election while presiding over the Electoral College certification. Number 3 on this list, another former Trump attorney, Sidney Powell. They point out that she filed a lawsuit against the governor of Georgia, which we knew. They also point out in this indictment that Donald Trump was espousing the theories of this co-conspirator, even though he had privately admitted that they sounded crazy. We know all of that to be Sidney Powell. Co-conspirator number 4 on this list is someone we've talked about a lot, former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark. The indictment identifies him as a Justice Department official. It also points to an email that a top DOJ person sent to Clark rebutting his efforts to try to use the department to overturn the 2020 election. And again, number 5, we have another pro-Trump lawyer. This is Kenneth Chesebro. He was someone who was very involved in this fake electors plot. The indictment points to an email memorandum that he sent to Giuliani in December of 2020 about the fake electors plot.
Could co-conspirator 6 be Michael Flynn, Ginny Thomas, Roger Stone, Tom Fitton, Steve Bannon, or maybe just someone else? Until we find out, I feel like we're playing a game of Guess Who Insurrection Edition.
Is it me? Is it you?
No.
Guess who?
You guess who? That's a mystery.
Oh, and after it was revealed that Rudy Giuliani is Trump's co-conspirator 1 in the indictment, he was ranting and raving on Newsmax.
So here's what I say to Jack Smith. After the Supreme Court threw out your case, which should have been a disgrace, and you should have gone and found another profession because you don't belong in this one. This one will be your legacy, violating the right of free speech of an American citizen. Never mind whether he was president or not. It could be anybody. It could be a homeless person. You don't get to violate people's First Amendment rights, Smith, no matter who the hell you are, or no matter how sick you are with Trump derangement syndrome. And this isn't the first time you've acted like an unethical lawyer. It should be the last.
These morons were so hungry for power that they would do whatever they could to keep it. And guess what? It cost them everything. So let's all make sure to officially welcome these insurrectionists to the find out phase of their attempted coup.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
And here's the truth. They have absolutely no chance against Special Counsel Jack Smith. I mean, the guy eats nails for breakfast and investigated international crimes at The Hague. And of course, as soon as the new indictment from Jack Smith became public, Donald Trump released a deranged statement. Now, I'm not going to bore you with this nonsense and whining, but there was one part that I do want to highlight. The lawlessness of these persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the former Soviet Union, and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. Alright, not only is that statement incredibly offensive, but as you can see, Trump is definitely not freaking out at all and totally taking this well. And by well, I mean not at all. Even Donald Trump's future ex-wife, Carrie Lake, had something to say.
His poll numbers will continue to go up. I really believe that those other people running in the Republican race should stand up, speak out in support of President Trump, talk about how this is an injustice unlike we've ever seen with our Department of Justice going after an innocent man. And frankly, they should suspend their campaigns and step behind and support President Trump and the American people so we can save this great country.
Yep.
Don Jr. was on Newsmax to discuss his father's indictment, which I imagine was his attempt to connect with his father.
I just wanted to ask if you've talked to your father and how's he feeling?
Yeah, I spoke to him a little bit ago, and he's doing great.
No, Donald Trump is definitely not doing great. And if I had to guess, the walls at Mar-a-Lago are probably dripping with ketchup like it's a scene from The Shining.
You know, one of the charges that they allege here is that your father knew that this was all bogus, and he pushed it anyway. Do you buy that?
Anything that they're putting out there these days, Rob. I mean, have we noticed the pattern of what's happening? Have we seen what they're doing on a daily basis? I mean, my father's right. Why did they wait 2.5 years? You know why? Because he's leading in the polls, because they're afraid of him becoming president and dismantling the Uni-Party, dismantling the deep state. I don't believe in this level of coincidence anymore. If you look at the fact pattern, right? Literally the day after Hunter Biden's BFF testifies that Joe was involved in all of these schemes. He was on the phone 20 plus times. They indict Trump.
Don Jr. can whine all he wants about Joe Biden, but there is one thing that we know for certain. President Joe Biden has 0 felony counts, and Donald Trump, well, he currently has 78 and counting. Oh, and when it comes to the smoking gun known as Hunter Biden's former business associate, Devin Archer, Republicans had to have a non-televised session because they knew they had nothing. Don't take my word for it, just listen to Representative Andy Biggs.
Can you talk about the bribe at all? The $5 million bribe?
He didn't know anything about it.
He didn't know anything about that?
No, in 2023, he didn't know anything about that.
But even though Republicans have no evidence against Joe Biden, that hasn't stopped them from painting Trump as the victim. Benny Johnson tweeted, "Did you notice that the Biden administration waited to drop the new Trump indictment until the exact moment that Republicans in Congress fully exposed the Biden crime scheme? They don't care about America, they don't care about the truth, they don't care about Trump. All they care about is holding onto power." Well, that's funny considering that Trump was literally the guy trying to do everything he could to stop Biden from becoming president after Biden won the election with 81 million votes. And look, it's simple. If Republicans actually have proof on the Bidens like they claim, then just show it already. Stop claiming that whistleblowers and informants are going missing. Just show us the damn evidence. You know what? Here's a suggestion. Go ask Jim Jordan and James Comer to release the transcripts from the session with Devin Archer. Oh, that's right, they won't, because they know it'll prove that they can't actually back up their bribery accusations. So instead, Republicans have to distract and claim that it's a political witch hunt, or even a civil war like Tim the Fool Pool so eloquently tweeted. Which I find rich coming from the guy who used his platform to get people to show up on January 6th, the very insurrection that spurred this whole investigation into Donald Trump.
And now Donald Trump is calling on his supporters to descend on Washington, D.C., January 6th. This could be Trump's last stand. And it's a time when he has specifically called on his supporters to arrive in D.C. That's something that may actually be the big push Trump supporters need to say, this is it. It's now or never. On that day, Trump says, show up for a protest, it's gonna be wild. And based on what we've already seen from the previous events, I think Trump is absolutely correct.
But it's not just right-wing idiots like Don Jr., Benny Johnson, or Tim Pool that are losing their minds over this. It's also Fox News. Just take a look at Jesse Waters going ballistic over Trump's indictment.
We also have January 6th, and I feel comfortable speaking for Jessica. You really shouldn't.
Then I won't. I'll speak for the rest of the country that has their head on straight. Not everybody believes January 6th was Hiroshima. Not everybody believes that.
No one
We talk to people on the street all the time. A lot of people don't even know what January 6th was. And for the people that watch it on TV, they're over it. They don't see it as a holy day the way you guys do. Again, the documents case. And I'm talking about what Biden did with it, what Trump did with it. Regular Americans on Main Street aren't fussing over where the documents went. They really don't care. It doesn't affect them. In the 90s, you had sex. It was titillating. People were very focused on it. It was a different culture back then, okay? If you find cash bribes that go into Biden's offshore bank accounts, that's going to light up the country. That is a cash bribe from a foreign company that's in the bank account. Goodbye, okay? Sex and cash bribes, that's going to do it. Documents and January 6th, it's not going to do it. You have another thing. Greg said it. This is like lawfare, they call it. Legal warfare. If this was political, this would be like a political war crime. This is overkill. This is political germ warfare. These are political war crimes. It's an atrocity. It's like not just dropping one atomic bomb, you drop 15 dozen, Jessica. Enough is enough. This is the establishment terrified of Donald Trump's reelection because of all the money that's going to dry up and all the influence. And you know what? They're terrified of the payback. And that's what this is about. And what happens if you trigger a re-election by Donald Trump and he gets in there? You think he's not going to go after the Bidens? He might go after Dr. Jill at this point. After you've been rummaging through Melania's underwear drawer, turning his life upside down, payback is going to be a you-know-what, and you guys started it.
His gaslighting is very reminiscent of when he recently tried to spin Florida's Black History curriculum as a good thing.
No one is arguing slaves benefited from slavery. No one is saying that. It's not true. They're teaching how black people developed skills during slavery in some instances that could be applied for their own personal benefit.
So as the 2020 election interference case develops, you can fully expect more tantrums and freakouts from Republican lawmakers, as well as right-wing commentators as they try to grapple with the fact that Trump might be done. Because if there is one thing for certain, it's that Donald Trump is definitely not
doing great.
Well, that's all for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and feel free to connect with me on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, or Twitter at I am Gabe Sanchez. And if you want to be a part of what makes my show possible, plus get access to episodes before they go public, plus a bonus show on the weekend, you can do so by going to patreon.com/I am Gabe Sanchez. So until next episode, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?